But we do have Major League Baseball on the horizon today. It starts at 1:08 p.m. Eastern. That's Detroit and Cleveland today. Tarek Skubal's on the mound as a heavy favorite, close to minus 170. The spread line today, Joe, for you with the Tigers and the Guardians.
Yeah, well, we finally got the Guardian starting pitcher announcement, right? Gavin Williams, it was either him or Tanner Bybee, but Williams gets to go. That makes a ton of sense given the fact that the Tigers can't hit right-handed pitching, Donnie. And we told you yesterday, Skubal opened up as a minus 150 favorite without knowing who he was pitching against. That went as high as a $1.75 yesterday. And then Williams was announced, and all we've seen is Guardians money coming back down now to minus 155. But it's the total, Donnie, I'm interested in. That was 7, 6.5. I'm seeing sixes across the board. These are two of the worst hitting teams down the stretch in Major League Baseball. This game doesn't scream run fest, but Donnie, if this thing drops to 5.5, I may not have a choice here but to go up and over the total in this one.
Sometimes you just see the sixes and say, okay, 3 on one side, 3 on the other, because the expectations of Skubal going 9 innings and throwing 110 pitches probably aren't there. And the first sign of you get in trouble, they go right to the bullpen. It's not a lot of runs. Like taking the under 5, like you get 5. That's it. 6, you push. 7, you lose that. That's incredible. Game number 2 we'll talk about, which actually the nightcap tonight, Joe, Cincinnati and Los Angeles. Green's going to be on the mound going up against Snell, the largest line of the day at close to minus 196 or higher at some other outlets, approaching minus 200 to minus 205. The spread line tonight for those Reds and Dodgers, Joe, is what?
Yeah, well, it's interesting, right? Still, we thought Snell was going to go, figured it was going to be Hunter Green, but this is another one, Donnie. You know, all 4 of these games today, first 5 totals, 3.5. Full game totals hovering around 7 or less. They are expecting 4 pitching duels, the market is telling us here across the board, especially in this one where this is your biggest favorite with the Dodgers. But call me crazy here. We've seen both Snell and Hunter Green be dominant, but we've also seen them walk a ton of guys and put themselves in bad positions here. I'm thinking the over is not a bad look here because, you know, both of these bullpens, Donnie, can get lit up like Christmas trees in a hurry here in the latter half of these games. So I'm thinking if this thing gets down to 6.5, I'll be pulling the trigger on the over with the Dodgers and Reds.
Playoff baseball is insane. Like you have a 6 and 3 sevens tonight on the totals. It's like it's a different ball game, and technically it really is, which brings us up to our final game that we're going to talk about tonight, and that's the rivalry game. It's Boston and New York, 6:08 start Eastern here. Low spread here. I should say low money line. Minus 132 is at the opening number, between minus 130 to minus 136, depending where you're shopping at. Crochet versus Fried, 2 left-handed pitchers on the mound today. What's your spread line for this one, Joe?
You know, it's kind of crazy. I get the low total in this one. Makes total sense, right? 6.5's popping up all over the place here with these two guys. Here's a crazy fact about both these teams, though. You know, for the 3rd straight season, the Yankees have scored more runs on the road than at home. And Boston scored more runs on the road than they did at home. I mean, both these lineups know each other. The bullpen is the issue for me with the Yankees, right? So if I'm looking anywhere, Donnie, in this series or in this game, I'm looking at the first 5 innings here. I'll be doing it each and every game. I think the Yankees get the crochet. 3rd time's a charm here. I'll be backing them in the first 5.
4 games on the docket today for Major League Baseball. Starts at 1:08. That's Detroit and Cleveland. 3:08. That's San Diego and Chicago. 6:08. Boston and New York. And then we have 9:08. Cincinnati and the Los Angeles Dodgers. And as I just said, a 6 for a total. And then all those high numbers, Joe. 7, 7, and 7 at that point. Incredible stuff for Major League Baseball. It's Tuesday. We're usually saying to ourselves, oh no, Monday Night Football, what happened? We're waiting for Thursday night in the college football slate to start up. Not so fast, people. If you disappeared from Major League Baseball, which, by the way, a lot of the country does, and I don't blame them. I love baseball. May, June, July, August. Once we hit September, it's like, is this season over? Because, boy, I love myself some football. But as a Phillies fan, it's Red October. I love it. My Phillies won't be playing until Saturday, Joe. But the postseason picture is set, and we get underway today. Afternoon baseball. What a novel concept. Joe, if most execs had their way, they'd probably be like, okay, we need a game at 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, midnight, 2 a.m. because that's the best. No, baseball is meant to be played in the afternoon, Joe. I love it. A spread out 4-game slate to enjoy today. How about it?
Gotta love it, Donnie. This is
Love
what
it.
it's all about this time of year. And they've worked very hard, Major League Baseball and Rob
Yeah.
Manfred, to try to remain relevant right through the end of the regular season and heading into the postseason. And the timing of this is great, right? No football, coming off of a couple of Monday night games. And now Major League Baseball will be back in focus over the next 2 to 3 days for sure.
Now, let me ask you this question, too, because here's me, again, being commissioner. Like, the commissioner of baseball understands, hey, let's open up our prime time slate on Thursday night and go head-to-head with the NFL. We'll put 4 games on there. Hey, WNBA, this is how you schedule. Baseball can play 1 in the afternoon on a Tuesday and still get ratings and people would enjoy it? WNBA, wake up. Play your games during the day in the playoffs so you don't conflict with other Major League Baseball and also NFL games. Novel concept if you want to make more money. But let's get down to it. The World Series odds. The Philadelphia Phillies sit there on the leaderboard right now at a plus 450 price, followed by the Mariners and the Dodgers, Blue Jays, Yankees, and the Brewers here. We're voting, Joe. Who's your vote for your World Series odds bet right now at those price points?
I'm still kind of laughing how the Brewers and the Yankees now 6-7 to 1 price is, I think, interesting to say the least there. I still think the Brewers are the team to beat in the National League. And I think people are going to overlook them once again. They're going to undervalue them. They have been all year long, Donnie, even when they were clearly ripping off 14 straight wins. Everybody kept being like, nah, this ain't going to last. This team is no good. No, this team is that good. And they are made up just like we have seen in years past with the Royals and the Marlins and the Rain, teams that you're like, wait, who's on this team? Yeah, well, those are the kinds of teams that play better team baseball than the guys that it's either home run or bust, Donnie. And we got enough of those teams in the postseason right now.
Oh, we certainly do. If we focus here on the National League, because we're going to talk about the Padres and the Cubs in just a few moments here. But the NL odds, the Phillies are the favorites here, Joe, to win the pennant. Plus 195, followed by the Brewers at plus 310, Dodgers 320, Cubs 650. Then there's those Padres at a plus 750 price. Understand this. Starting pitching is very important. Nobody's going to downplay that. But even more important there is how you can match your bullpen up against some of the better hitters on the other team. The Padres have guys that can be lights out. You take a look at Mason Miller since August 6th, 20 games pitched, Joe, 21 1/3 innings, 0 earned runs, and 42 strikeouts over 74 batters. They can go toe-to-toe here. Value, maybe on the Pods?
Yeah, I don't think so. The problem with the Padres is they're much better at home than they are on the road, Donnie. They've been like that all year because simply, it's a pitcher's ballpark. So it's not conducive to hitting home runs like you do in some of these other ballparks. And they're not a great power hitting team, the Padres. But we also know home runs are the great equalizer in the postseason. And there are teams that can do it and teams that can't. And I think the Padres are up against it right now because they're going to spend a lot of time on the road, and that's not great for them.
No, it's certainly not great for them here. But if we do take a look, Nick Pivetta is going to get the nod here as starting pitcher. Game number 1 for the Padres going up against the Cubs. Boyd is going to go for Chicago. If we line this game up, Joe, 7s across the board. And again, this isn't Wrigley. The wind is blowing in, but not a hurricane force wind out there. 7 to 8 miles per hour. Nice temperatures, mid-70s, Joe, and also no precipitation in the forecast. Good game. If we open the lines at minus 120, they've dipped. Minus 115s, minus 110s, depending where we're shopping at. A de facto pick-em here. Pivetta versus Boyd. What are you seeing today in this game for you, Joe?
Oh, again, we're seeing 2 totally different teams here, Donnie. Number one, the Cubs are finally healthy again, which is fantastic for them. But keep an eye on the wind. Where is the wind blowing? And afternoon baseball games at Wrigley, that's what matters. And when you look at how dominant Chicago was at Wrigley, I think they were 50-38 at home this year. Obviously below 500 there for the Padres. The Cubs hit the better long ball, Donnie. They know the park better. They are healthy here. It's kind of hard. It looks to me like Boyd, after the All-Star break, he's starting to run out of gas. He's thrown more innings, Donnie, in this season than he has thrown the last 3 combined. it's starting to get that wear and tear starting to show with him.
And by the way, if you look at the pitchers and line them up analytically, Joe, since August the 1st, so give yourself roughly 2 months here, Matthew Boyd actually comes in last with an ERA of 4.82, an xFIP number of 4.65 over 56 innings pitched. You know who's the 8th pitcher on the card today that's ranked? That's Nick Pivetta here. A 3 ERA, which is better than Boyd's 4.82, but analytically a 4.20 xFIP number. So if I'm looking at Nick Pivetta going up against Matthew Boyd, there's not much of a huge discrepancy. But if we are playing in Wrigley, and I understand, like I just told you, that San Diego bullpen is spectacular at this point. I got to tell you, like if I'm looking at this game and saying if there's one chance, I think for the road team possibly to come away with a victory in the National League, because Cincinnati's going to have a tough time, I think it is the San Diego Padres tonight, Joe. I do.
Yeah, Michael King, by the way, has been left out off the wild card rotation. They were hoping maybe they could get him to work out of the bullpen, but listen, this is going to be, and I'll give you another fun fact here, Donnie. You know what the best bullpen, the number one bullpen post the trade deadline has been? The Chicago Cubs. They don't get enough credit. Nobody talks about it, but they have been better than the Padres bullpen down the stretch here, and that's going to be important with the wind blowing in here in Chicago.
Chanting PCA. PCA. Love that. 3:08 start at Wrigley, the way it's supposed to be. Day baseball games. For you kids out there that didn't know, for about 100 years, Wrigley Field didn't have any lights. They always played in the day. Back to day baseball. Love it. Let's take a look at the Dodgers. Who is in their starting rotation for their wild card round against the Reds? We've been waiting for the Dodgers, Joe Ranieri. I mean, look, they're a good baseball team. We get that. But, you know, we wanted to know who's going to be in that starting lineup, particularly the pitchers, so we can get a little taste for that postseason action. And by the way, if they stay healthy and they pitch up to plan, the Dodgers are going to be a tough team and a tough out in the playoffs, no doubt about it. They're priced that way as well. Talking Baseball sent out a tweet that says the Dodgers will go with Blake Snell, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and Shohei Ohtani as their wild card starters. But they also said if they get the sweep, which means the first 2 wins of the series go to the Dodgers, they end the Red season, they move on to Philadelphia, and Ohtani would actually start the NLDS game number 1 in Philadelphia. How about that for a starting rotation, Joe?
Pretty impressive stuff, right? So starting pitching, not an issue here for the Dodgers, and none of us ever thought it would be, right? So the issue, Donnie, is going to be, well, what if one of those starting pitchers isn't exactly in peak form or doesn't have a great game and that bullpen has to get involved? That's the thing that would worry me about the Dodgers. But in each and every game, certainly in this series, they're going to have a huge early advantage here, even against Hunter Green, which is feast or famine, right? He either pitches where he can go a complete game, 1 hitter, and that's the end of it, or he's going to give up 4 or 5, 6 runs and last 3 innings, and then that Reds bullpen gets involved. So more confident in the starting pitching with the Dodgers than you have to be with the Reds.
By the way, looking at this Dodgers game tonight, late night game, 9:08 start, East Coast time, 7s across the board as a total, Joe. Let's call it minus 200 as a favorite for the Dodgers. And both of these pitchers, analytically and also just eye test, they've been brilliant over the past 60 and 30 days in their intervals here. Is the way to bet this game, don't you dare worry about the bullpens coming in and maybe the pitchers, because can't we see like a 2-1, maybe 3-1 maximum over the first 5 innings?
This is all going to depend on Hunter Green because Donnie, at home in Cincinnati, he was almost unhittable in Cincinnati. But on the road, 2-3 with a 4.81 ERA. He's also has not been great against the Dodgers in his career. So, you know, what version of him do you get here tonight? If you get the locked-in version, this thing, Donnie, the first 1 to 2 runs is going to win. I'm with you. But the problem is, it's all up to him. I think we know what kind of Snell we're going to get here, but to me, this is all about Hunter Green. Can we trust him to do something on the road against this Dodgers team that he hasn't done yet all year long on the road? So would love to see it, but if not, it's going to be over early for the Reds tonight.
How about the American League, Detroit and Cleveland? They're going to get the day started off at 1:08 Eastern. And by the way, welcome in Cleveland, the division champions who can't hit, can't pitch. Half their team was banished because they were gambling on baseball games. And yet here they are at home, but a heavy underdog to start, as high as plus 140 out there, which means Detroit is a favorite in around that minus 165 to minus 170 range. Schoolbull versus Williams in Detroit. They ain't coming in on any heater into the playoffs. They were terrible in the month of September, Joe.
Yeah, they were, but does it ultimately mean anything now the
I don't know.
postseason play?
Yeah.
I don't know that it's correlated, but I do know this: the amount of games that these two teams have played down the stretch, there is nobody more familiar with one another than them. And as far as confidence goes, I mean, I don't know how the Guardians have any more momentum and confidence than they have right now. They know they can beat Scooble. They've already beat them twice the last couple of times there. And by the way,
Yeah.
Gavin Williams, a 1.88 ERA and 4 September starts. He's won both his games over the Tigers. There's a reason why this is such a low total. Both offenses are hot garbage. They are terrible, Donnie. The Tigers hit lefties better than righties, but they're likely not going to get a lefty in this spot. So it's kind of hard to look at anything other than unders, team total unders across the board here in this series, Donnie.
And by the way, if Cleveland beats Scoop game number one, like Detroit just pack up and go home at that point because it's a rout. Like you would just completely demoralize that franchise, Joe.
Yep. And again, Gavin Williams has been like this whole pitching staff of the Guardians has been fantastic here. And even when Scooble pitches well, they don't score any runs for him and they end up losing anyway. So they have to win game one. I'm with you here. It's Detroit win or go home.
Yeah, but Boston and New York, they're going to tee it up at 6:08 p.m. from the Bronx. They're a favorite of around a -135 price. Total that's listed at 7. Crochet and Freed. This game seemed to me plays to an under as well, but that ain't an under ballpark, Joe, that we know.
No, it's not, but it's amazing that the Yankees were more productive on the road this year than they were at home. But listen, you got to get the Crochet early. The longer he goes, the stronger he gets.
As Gene Hackman said in the movie Hoosiers, 4. Yes, there's 4 games today in Major League Baseball. 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Who doesn't love that? Who said, oh, no, I have to work. I can't miss. I'm going to miss Major League Baseball. Pull out your phone. Get your second screen experience right here on the Sports Grid Network. We got you covered all day long with that Major League Baseball action. But if we do put a focus here, Joe, and say under the microscope, the American League, the leaders in the clubhouse right now, at least odds-wise to win the pennant, the Mariners at a +200 price, followed by the Blue Jays +270. Well, that's easy. They're the 1 and 2 seeds here. They don't have to play in the wild card round. But in the wild card round, the heavy favorite is the Yankees at +330. So I want to ask you this question, Joe. Yankees beat the Red Sox. Let's play it out. Next series starts up. Are the Yankees now, even though they're not going to have home field advantage, the favorites here in the odds market to win the pennant? It looks like that's what they're setting up.
As long as the Yankees are there, they're going to be the favorite, Donnie, as far as I'm concerned here. So, yes, I don't think there's any which way around it. And listen, I mean, deservedly so. I mean, they did have the best record along with Toronto in the American League. How they ended up at a 4 seed is hilarious with that, but it is what it is. And they are the defending pennant champions. So, you know, a lot of things here that point to the Yankees, certainly from the public betting. You know, the books know the money's going to come in on the Yankees here, Donnie. You'd be hard pressed for them to put up a big plus number next to their name.
Let's take a look at that game number 1 today. 1:08 start. Love to see it. Most people having lunch there. You got playoff baseball on your television. Detroit and Cleveland. Scooble versus Williams. A 6 across the board, which is wild that it's that low. But when you have a pitcher like Scooble going up against a lineup like the Cleveland Guardians, you figure you're going to have some dominance. Also, Joe, double-digit winds blowing in at Cleveland, which is a pitcher's ballpark. 76 degrees. You love to see that. No precipitation. So a beautiful day. But the question is that ball going to travel here? And also, Joe, conspiracy theorists unite. The dead Major League Baseballs get put back into the postseason. Is that why we're getting such low numbers here? Or is it just these pitchers are that good?
Well, it's a totally different atmosphere, right? We know this. Everything is at stake here. And this is such a weird, the way it worked out with the baseball gods in this series. I mean, to have the Tigers have one of the most epic collapses in all of Major League Baseball history, and then to have to face the team that just helped them get there is kind of crazy. But the early start, I think, is fascinating in this one, right, Donnie? Because let's face it here, both these pitchers certainly can strike guys out, and both offenses have been absolutely horrific. I don't know who we're kidding here. Detroit's been better against lefties, but against righties, I mean, you got to be kidding me. I mean, these two teams during the final week of the regular season, Donnie, when they played one another, 2 series, 19 runs, 39 hits, 65 combined strikeouts among these teams. These are not power hitting teams. These are not teams that are going to score a lot of runs.
Yeah.
Who's going to play defense? Who's going to bunt guys over and play small ball? That's why it wouldn't shock me if this gets to 5.5, which is what I'm hoping for, Donnie, because if it does, I am going to go over. 5-2 would not shock me. 4-2 would not shock me as a final score.
We always get surprised in the playoffs. Remember, for years, it felt like Clayton Kershaw will be the Cy Young Award winner, get to the playoffs and get detonated like a 15 ERA. Maybe Scooble has so much pressure on himself today on the road, knowing it's a must-win where he's the ace and they lose. They know they're probably going home at this point. And also, you're looking around your Detroit lineup like this, going like, hey, somebody actually come up with some big at-bats here. We'll see. Certainly the better pitcher on the mound for Detroit. That doesn't always work out in your favor. Boston and New York, Crochet versus Fried. 2 lefties on the mound, a 7 as a total. This game's going to be played in the Bronx today, right around a minus 135 price point for the favorite. If we get the weather check in this game, Joe, 76 degrees in the Bronx, no rain in the forecast, light winds blowing in from left field. It should be a pretty clean game, but it is playoff baseball. All hands on deck in a 3-game series. That total is set at a 7. That's a rarity to find in a Yankees game in the Bronx.
Yeah, it's interesting, too, because, again, baseball God's pretty funny, right? The Red Sox won 9 of the 13 regular season meetings between the two this year. And I believe it was a plus 15 in run differential over those games. However, down the stretch, yeah, boy, the Yankees are riding a pretty good streak heading in here, and they did handle their business, no doubt, down here in the final couple of weeks of the season. So they are a better hitting team on the road, Boston is. Feels like if they can't get the Crochet early, Donnie, they're not getting to him late here. I think they got to play from in front here as their best chance.
You know it. Keep the pressure on the other team. 4 games on the docket today. Major League Baseball. Make sure you're ready for 1:08 Eastern. You might be thinking, well, it's a Tuesday. There's not much going on in the sports landscape. What are we going to do? College football, not till this weekend. The NFL doesn't kick off until Thursday. We got baseball, people. Wake up this morning. It's Donnie Rightside, it's Joe Ranieri, and Adam Kaufman waking us up with the energy that we need for 4, count them 4, playoff games today in Major League Baseball, and their afternoon action starts. Love it, Adam. I know you love it. Come on now.
Yeah, what were we going to do without football today? Something tells me we'll find something. Wild card round, baby, best of 3. Now, I kind of hate the best of 3 format and teams not getting an opportunity, the visiting teams, to take a series back to their city. It's a broken system with a 162-game regular season. That doesn't matter right now. What matters, like you said, we got 4 games in front of us and some pretty good pitching matchups, too.
Absolutely. And by the way, you're correct. Every year, it seems like now, Adam, I have to remind myself that, like, hey, wait a second. You're telling me that New York's going to get 2 games at home? If Boston splits one of those games, it's home at Fenway for game number 3. What type of home field advantage? That is monstrous. It's a series in your own building, which I guess to the winner goes the fruits of those spoils there, and we'll see what happens. But today, Boston and New York, Crochet and Fried, 7 is the total. Favorite for the Yanks. The hatred continues, but how about this? Boston owns the New York Yankees in the playoffs. How about that?
Well, Boston has certainly had a good run against New York in recent years, and including this regular season. You know, you could nitpick these two teams any number of different ways, but Boston 9-4 against New York, including a 5-2 record in the Bronx. And we have Garrett Crochet on the mound opposite Max Fried. Now, these are 2 aces, obviously. One in Fried, who has been exceptional this year against Boston, largely very, very, very good, and an all-star and living up to all the hype coming over from Atlanta, all of that. Crochet, though, has been a borderline Cy Young winner. I mean, I think you could certainly make a case for him, even though it probably goes to Tarek Skubal, the Tigers, for a second straight year. The Red Sox have won the last 7 of Crochet's starts. On the road this year, he has a 2.25 ERA. He is limiting batters to a batting average this is barely above the Mendoza line at 200. He has been exceptional lately, and for me, and I realize this game is in the Bronx, Crochet's had a little bit of an issue his last few starts, not so much the most recent one, but the 2 before that with the home run ball, and Aaron Judge, a prolific hitter on the other side, and just a Yankees lineup in general that can mash. Like, I understand all of these things, guys, but I also understand that there are very few, if any, opportunities that you can invest in Garrett Crochet at plus money. I mean, seriously, plus 115 ballpark for Garrett Crochet and the Red Sox on the money line. To me, and maybe, I mean, you can see this beautiful Boston skyline behind me. There's an element of bias on my part, but I just don't see how you turn down the value in that price to invest in Boston in game one. Doesn't mean the offense is going to stay consistent. Doesn't mean all the pitching issues won't rear their ugly heads, especially with this elbow injury now that Lucas Giolito is dealing with, and he's not going to be available for a game three if it gets there. But you're just talking about winning game one here for this bet, and at plus money, and the, again, borderline Cy Young winner on the mound, I think it's a smart play.
Well, Cy Young winner on the mound in Tariq Skubal here is the third time a charm, Adam, because he's already faced this Guardians team twice over the last month, and he didn't win a game yet. Does he win this game here today?
So I don't know if he wins this game today, because I don't know how anybody could watch the Tigers and their 290 win percentage in the month of September and say, yeah, I mean, of course we trust this team. But what I do trust is Tariq Skubal, as you talked about. I know he's had his issues, whether lately or against this Guardians team, but you know, I still think that ultimately your best pitcher is going to be your best pitcher when he has to. And so for me, I don't know if the bullpen gives it away. I don't know if the Tigers do ultimately lose this game. I'm going to invest in Skubal in the first five. Now, there's no value on the money line. You're pushing minus 190 if you just take that for the first five because you're allowing for a push. So I'm going to go with the Tigers result, meaning after five, they're up by at least one run, and trusting in a Tigers team that Skubal against the Guardians in 28 innings has a .62 ERA and 40 strikeouts. The guy has locked this team down. I just need him to do that for 5 innings and keep the offense at bay there for Cleveland. Meanwhile, the Tigers, I think we do still need to kind of remember this it's an explosive offense that Detroit has had throughout this year, just not against, Cleveland. Cleveland, for whatever reason, is a team that the Tigers have had their troubles hitting against. Everyone else, it's like 5 runs per game. Tigers, not so much against the Guardians. So I think that figures itself out at least well enough today. Maybe after 5, it's 2-1 Detroit. Doesn't matter. That wins the bet.
Friendly confines of Wrigley Field today, the lowest line of the day, roughly a pick 'em, minus 115, minus 105 split here. That's San Diego and Chicago. It's going to be Pivetta taking on Boyd here. Good weather. Wind is blowing slightly in, mid-70s, no rain in the forecast. We're at Wrigley today, Adam. What are we thinking?
Yeah, as a former Red Sox pitcher, I do enjoy myself some Nick Pivetta, but you cannot ignore the underlying metrics of really terrible advanced stats that would indicate a whole lot of luck for Pivetta and some of those, mainstream statistic like win-loss record or ERA and some of those that he has boasted throughout this year. Whereas if you dig in on the other side to Matthew Boyd, who has been really, really good for Chicago, it's kind of a contrast, bottom half of the majors, Pivetta, in terms of, you want to look at expected batting average, average exit velocity, and hard hit rate, and xERA, and all of these things. Whereas on the other side, Boyd ranks in the top half of the majors in many of those. So, I think at a game that is essentially a pick'em, as you noted, you look at a Boyd team who has been very good, or a Boyd who has been very good for the Cubs against this Padres team on the other side. He's got a 1.6 ERA, 1.2 whip in a couple of meetings this season, a solid rested bullpen. I like Chicago here at home.
How about the final game of the night, Cincinnati and L.A.? Minus 200 price point here. The Dodgers look prime. Their pitching staff is healthy going up against Hunter Green. We thought it might have been the Mets, but it's not. It's the Reds. How about it?
Yeah, just for the sake of getting a better number, I'll, like with the Tigers and Skubal, go with the result line for the first 5 for LA. You're not getting any value in the money line for the Dodgers first 5 or full game, but you can get right around minus 125, minus 130 for the first 5 result. Snell is better. We expect him to be on the mound opposite Green. This Dodgers lineup is exponentially better than Cincinnati's. And so I think we're looking at the home team here.
How about that? Adam Kaufman, he's ready for afternoon baseball. Are you ready for afternoon baseball? Adam, thanks for joining us once again on the early line. Bringing that energy. We're ready for Major League Baseball, people. Joe and Donnie will close it down next. I love it. I love it. I love it. Why do I love it? We're going to give out some best bets. Joe came up big last night. I took a running back that got over 100 yards but didn't hit pay dirt yesterday, so I'm looking for a bounce back. We'll get to that in just a few moments with bye. But I love the fact that Major League Baseball is on this afternoon. You can sit back, you can relax, but also understand this. Make sure you're watching the Sports Grid Network all throughout the day. We're going to keep you up to date on all the latest, and you know that's what we do on the early line, setting the stage, opening up that paper and saying, let me read this. Look, what's Joe saying? What's Donnie Rightside saying? That's what we give you here. But now's the time of the show where we like to reach out to the public, and we want to know what they think. Here's our Fade the Public poll. At Sports Grid on X. If you're not following, what are you doing? Hit the follow button. Get involved here. Answer the questions that we need to know so we can see if we're fading the public or not. The question was simple today. Who do you think will win the World Series this year? 4 opportunities. 1 was the Phillies. 2 were the Mariners. 3 were the Dodgers. 4 was other. An overwhelming, Joe. Other coming in at close to 53% live. Team number 2, it's my Philadelphia Phillies, which you know I voted for at a plus 450 price. What do you think about the public today, Joe? And are you fading them?
Well, I like their odds because they have a few other teams in that other category that can pull it out here. But it really all depends. Do you think it's National League or the American League that is going to win it all here, Donnie? If it's the National League, Phillies very much capable. I would stick with the other because I think there's a few teams, including the Brewers, that might be representing the National League in the World Series for sure.
How about that? Let's go fighting Phillies today. But again, the Phillies, they're going to sit this one out. Mariners will sit this one out, waiting for this weekend's baseball action, which is absolutely fantastic. I can't wait. It's Red October in Philadelphia. But before we get there, we're going to watch some really nice high-leverage situations. And the only thing I can ask for, Joe, as a fan, you sit back and you watch Tuesday. It's great. Wednesday is great. Give me at least 2 games on Thursday. Give me game number 3's all hands on deck. Give me at least 2 of those, and we'll certainly be watching that, no doubt about it. But, Joe, now it's time to get the people what they need. That's dollars in their back pocket. Here's bye. Baseball. Joe Ranieri, where are you going today in baseball?
Well, we wonged our way in the NFL last night to a win there, Donnie, with a 6-point teaser there, both for Denver and the Jets. But today, to me, it's all about the numbers. And right now, with the Guardians and the Tigers, Donnie, I am looking at likely a 5.5 at close in some spots. A total for this game at 5.5. I don't need to tell you that it was quite a stretch in the month of September for both these teams. Certainly emotionally, too. We saw the Tigers cave in. We've seen the Guardians have to exert a lot of energy to get it done to be here. And I'm looking at a 5.5, but I'm also looking at the spread for the Guardians at home with Williams that has been, lights out for them down the stretch against the Tigers team that can't hit quality righties. And you want to start me off with a 1.5 lead? I'll take that, Donnie. I will take the Guardians plus a 1.5. And ultimately, I think is a team that can not only win this game outright against Scooble, I think it's just going to come down to a 1-run game one way or the other. Too much value to pass up with the home team getting a 1.5 for a total, Donnie. That's 5.5.
I'm going to fade a home team today, Joe. How about that? I'm going to go to the friendly confines of Wrigley Field and say, Matthew Boyd, you were sensational for a good part of the season. Matthew Boyd, right now, you are not sensational. If we date this back 2 months, August the 1st, dog days of summer, and start from there. There's 8 pitchers on the card today, Joe. You take a look at Matthew Boyd, he's number 8 on my card. ERA minus a 117. Keep in mind, 100 is the average there. Anything above that is not good for a pitcher. A 106 FIP minus, a 112 xFIP minus, which is the worst on the card. An ERA of 4.82, which is the worst on the card. An xFIP of 4.65, which is the worst on the card. The worst pitcher on the card. Nick Pivetta, a 74 ERA minus, a FIP minus of 99, an xFIP of 101, and an ERA of 3 since the start of August. I think I have overall the better bullpen. I think I have a coin flip there, but the better pitcher on the mound. I'm taking minus 102. San Diego Padres to get that victory in the friendly confines of Wrigley Field, Joe. I love it. We got baseball, and we're betting it this afternoon.
You gotta love it here, Donnie. 4 series, and I think one has got a really good chance at going 3 games.